Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We are delighted to have one of our partners with us, Nomad. Dennis Bruce and Michael Bates will be presenting on e-commerce customer personalization for Business Central. And as a reminder, we are recording this webinar and we will post it to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And you can find our library under our resources tab on our website at enovia.com. And we do encourage you to ask questions during our presentation, so please feel free to type them into the questions box and we will answer them at the end of our session. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dennis to kick off our presentation.
Thank you, Angie. Good morning, everybody. My name is, as Angie mentioned, my name is Dennis Bruce. I'm with Nomad eCommerce. On the phone with me today, or in this webinar, participating will be Michael Bates. Michael's our VP of Operations. Together, the two of us will be not only introducing you to Nomad, but also talking about Nomad from the standpoint of e-commerce customer personalization for Business Central. Okay, so how do we take a Business Central or Dynamics Nav customer and be able to personalize their website towards their customers? So that'll be our focus, and making a website more familiar to your customers' individual needs. So during this webinar, we'll talk about what personalization is, the different levels of it, and why companies take this approach. Why go through all this just to make it a little more geared towards your customers. I'll point out some examples of personalization companies, what companies have done, and the ones that you might use now. All right, we'll discuss the technology stack and some of the tools that are available to you for you to use to get to the level of personalization that you might deploy for your business. And then I'm going to turn this over to Michael afterwards, and Michael's going to walk you through three of our customers, three Business Central customers that used to run Nav and now are on Business Central, who run Nomad eCommerce and have done different levels of personalization for themselves that actually work for their business, right? So it's not just full on, hey, we're going to do everything. It's going to be completely personalized. They did it to the point where it works for them. And after that point, after those three, we'll kind of wrap it up and we'll go through some Q&A. So first of all, I thought, probably a good idea to introduce who Nomad is. So basically, we're an e-commerce provider. Our solution integrates to Business Central. It also integrates to Dynamics NAV. But Nomad provides solutions that digitally transform data in your ERP, especially for manufacturers and distributors, and what gives you the ability to fully automate the order to cash process through the web. Now that data that we're digitally transforming, that becomes a fundamental building block to begin the process of personalizing your website to your customers' needs. So what is personalization? Okay, so there's kind of a difference between personalization and what I'll refer to as personalization light. But let's start with personalization. So it's the process of delivering a tailored experience to website visitors or your customers based on specific information like demographic, geographic, behavioral, as well as which stage they might be in their customer journey. Okay, so website personalization is a strategy, and it creates experiences that include tailored recommendations, dynamic content, could be exclusive offers that you send out to customers. But the primary goal of website personalization is to enhance the user's experience by addressing their needs and desires before they even signal to you what they are. So these types of websites are designed to adapt based on visitors' previous behavior. And if done properly, they're actually positioned to make more money, right? So there's some statistics you need to think about. Salesforce did a bunch of studies last year. 70% of their consumers, or 70% of the consumers, saying that a company's understanding of the individual needs influences their loyalty. 52% of customers say that they're extremely or somewhat likely to change brands if a company doesn't personalize its communication with them. 58% of consumers would switch half or more of their spending to a provider that excels at personalizing experiences, but more importantly, without compromising the trust. Okay, so that's an Accenture one. And then finally, 30%, 37% of respondents say they won't do business with companies that do not offer a personalized experience. That's from Redpoint Global and a Harris poll. So personalization is such a common part of our lives now that we tend to expect that in most of our interactions with businesses that we patronize, right? So the main way companies can create these unique experiences now for their customers is by personalizing their websites. So in order to create an individual web experience for each customer, companies use data that they have the actually permission to collect to do that. Then they can tailor the customer experience, whether it's through mobile apps, emails, digital ads, and websites using geolocation, site behavior, past purchases, and much more. And again, this is data that you can collect. And some of this data might be in the ERP that you currently run. But keep in mind that website personalization is not quite the same as customization, or what I refer to as personalization light. So you can draw a distinction between two. So personalization versus personalization light can be explained in this way. Personalization light is controlled by the user, while personalization would be controlled by you, the company. So dashboards, chat rooms, email filters, these are all types of personalization light or customizations a customer can configure to fit their specific needs. Personalization done by you can be a combination of the data that you've collected or software that you can use to present end users with a much more relevant online experience. Now, if you're a B2B marketer, okay, you might prefer a more minimalist design because your users don't want to go through a bunch of marketing stuff or fluff, and they're really just looking for more product information. So you can think about simple elements that still gives you the results that you might be looking for, whether that's greeting them by the username, showing them just previous interactions, or even having a picture of their internal customer rep with the way to contact them just right there on the page when they log in. So these are great ways that you can make your customer feel valued. But ultimately, why do companies go through all this? Because it leads to increased revenue, all right? So by doing more personalization or providing more personalization for your web presence, you have better converting calls to action. You have more relevant product recommendations that you can put out there. You've improved your customer loyalty. You get a better understanding of your customers and their interactions. Fewer follow-up emails, less wasted sales time, and then increased time on the site, but increased time for people who are actually doing something and converting and buying things. So all that leads to increased revenue. So there are some examples of some websites out there that use personalization in different ways. So if you ever use Grammarly, you could go out there. I get weekly reports from Grammarly, and they send them to users on how their writing has improved. And the reports include how many words the user wrote that week, how many mistakes they made, or mistakes they make frequently. You also get reports. I got a report the other day because I didn't write anything last week, and they came out and said it. So they're personalizing their communications to me. That makes me want to continue to use it. There's a website out there called Fit My Foot, and basically it uses an app where it will take pictures of your feet and create specialized insoles or sandals that you can customize for design and colors that you want. Gatorade can track through an app and some other things that they do. They can track or test how you sweat as you're working out, and then it can report back make recommendations for what they refer to as sports refueling, or basically using their products to reach your optimal performance or nutrition. Whole Foods uses a combination of online and its app. When you're in the store, they can make recommendations to you. And then there's other ones out there like Taylor that uses smartphones to scan your body type, and basically using a bunch of algorithms create personalized clothing that they can recommend to you. And then on some of like Hulu uses feedback on shows that it's going to promote based on what you give to them. Starbucks is another one. They use a combination of their site and their app to track orders, rewards. And then a couple last two I'll point out. And for Grow personalizes advice for babies. So they make baby formula, and they collect data on customers about the baby's age, and then they proactively reach out to you with age-appropriate product recommendations. So they can send emails at any stage of your baby's development and provide advice, activities, discounts for products that perfectly match your child's age. And there was another one. Yeah, Very. So Very is a UK fashion brand, and they use a user's location. So Very will highlight clothing items that actually match the local climate, such as recommending swimwear during the warmer months, highlighting raincoats if you're in an area that's experiencing rain. So in all these forms, personalization allows brands to better connect with customers and deliver experiences that add value and convenience. Okay, so website personalization gets powered by a wide stack of software tools that can help businesses to gather data on the visitors, segment them, target them, automate, and much more. But it starts, if you look at that lower level, starts with the ERP or CRM, okay? And the customer data that you're maintaining, that you're gathering and maintaining, okay, through your normal interactions and transactions, okay. On top of that, you can do content management systems. So if you see in that middle section, Nomad eCommerce, we have a content management system with our solution. So content management, marketing automation tools, they offer basic forms of personalization, excuse me. But then on top, when you get to the top of the stack, that's when you start to that's when you can incorporate some of these personalization tools. So the next level includes tools that allow e-commerce teams to customize their websites in response to customer characteristics and behaviors to improve that experience. So some of those tools that are on the market, something simple like a live chat you can have out there. Google Optimize is something. One of the good things about Google Optimize is it's free, it's easy to deploy, requires minimum tech knowledge. So your marketing department can run a website personalization experiments without really getting into heavy uh, uh, support from the tech team internally. Okay. You can use tools like Proof. So Proof offers audience segmentation based on the customer journey stage, industry, company size, some more of the stuff. Sleek Notes one with they have pre-made templates and formats. That's a good start for somebody that's more self-sufficient. Personalize. So Personalize is a tool that collects data to form a comprehensive visitor profile. So the big thing about Personalize is it can target based on like around 70 attributes, such as real-time behavior, geolocation, weather. We talked about that with the Very example, social data, excuse me, and internal search and things like that. You can even get into companies that actually focus on specific industries. So for instance, Zag Interactive, which is the last one I have on there. So if you go to their website, you'll see that they deal specifically with banking and credit unions, okay? So that company is geared towards working with those financial institutions. So that whole stack will provide you whatever level. So like anything else, you can start small, you can do less expensive, or you can go all the way up and really get something expensive and spend some money to do it. So before we get into the demonstration, some things to think about if you're looking at personalization. I think the biggest thing would be make sure you define your goals, right? You want to know what you're trying to do. So what are your current challenges on the website you have now? How do you engage, how do you engage returning visitors to interact better with your website? What are the things that you want to pay attention to? So you want to define what you're trying to accomplish, and then you start to gather data from people, users on there, like purchase history, emails open, shopping cart data, links that they clicked on, searches, places that they've gone to on your site. You can use that. You can create quizzes and surveys, right? So quizzes and surveys is designed to get data from visitors that are potentially more effective than other methods, because if they're committed to you, they'll fill them out. Pop-ups and to target specific customer segments. Now, pop-ups are annoying. I personally don't like them, but there's a reason why websites use them. It's because they work, all right? Especially if you use them in a smart way. So they can collect customer information directly from the customers and give you an idea of where people are in certain stages. And you want to be able to, or geo-targeting is another way. So, I mean, if you think about it this way, that if you're geo-targeting, you might sell in North America, and that data can be valuable when providing personalized product recommendations, but especially when you get to your website's language. So if you're selling in North America, English is pretty standard, including in Canada. But if you have customers or prospects in the Quebec region, you might want to flip over to French Canadian, right? So that gives you the ability to do that as well. Okay, so that's my part, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this over to Michael, and we're going to kind of go through 3 BC customers, as I mentioned before, that use personalization in a different way, that fits their needs, that we have assisted. So I'll let Michael take it from here.
Great, thank you. So if you're seeing my screen all right, I pulled up a site called Veloci. They're a customer that runs BC out of Minneapolis. Veloci primarily sells pressure washing and abrasive blast equipment. The reason why we built a Nomad site for them was as they were growing, they started to find that their end users and customers tended to have a need now to place orders for replacement parts or accessories, occasionally a whole pressure washing unit or abrasive blasting equipment unit. But it would be ideal to provide them a website where some of those kind of low effort, low complexity orders and also inquiries and updates around orders could be handled autonomously. So as a user on this B2B site, I can log in, I can go through all the products that are available for sale, I can do searches, I can look at categories. As I look at items, I'm actually seeing, coming from BC, the inventory available in the warehouse that I order from typically. So my default warehouse is actually coming through here and I'm seeing how many are available in stock. I'm also seeing my specific prices. So as an end user and I go into product pages, I'm actually seeing my price I'm paying as well as what the default or list price is. So I can get a sense for how good my pricing is on a particular item. I could reference materials on the product. So if I was looking for any sort of documents like a sales flyer, I can click on that and pull that up. And I can also see items that are commonly purchased together that we algorithmically generate for that customer. So I can actually see that other customers with my customer type have also bought these other accessories in addition to this pressure washing wand. On Veloci, when I actually go to my account page itself, we've done some work for them to give the customer a degree of useful personalization. On the bottom left here, in addition to all my regular kind of account update and informatical elements, I'm able to see who my sales rep is, a picture of that sales rep, their phone and cell phone number and their email, so that I know that when I'm placing my orders, who's going to get commission for my transaction, and if I were to have a question, who I should reach out to. And it's great because right here, as I have my orders placed online and also inside BC, I'm able to get verbose updates on that order process. So I can see what I order, I can see what sales order number it gets in BC. When it's invoiced, I actually get a digital copy of my invoice. And as it ships, we generate tracking numbers and link them off to different carriers for them for every shipment that occurs against the sales order. So going into kind of another form of personalization that we can do on Nomad, we have the capability of offering on B2C and B2B sites lots of different functionality. As an end user on a B2C focused site like Cooks Direct, Cooks Direct is a kitchen and kitchenware supplier for institutional sales. So it can be as institutional as a prison or as direct to consumer as a small mom and pop kitchen. Cooks Direct offers the personalization elements a custom search module. So in Nomad, we do support the ability to have searches that can be tailored to the actual site itself. For Cooks Direct, because they have over 20,000 items, their actual site search is brought to us by an integration with a company called SearchSpring. SearchSpring has lots of informatics and tools that when you're performing site searches, gives a user different filtration options on what prices of items they're looking at. They can filter down through different categories. So if I wanted to look at just certain manufacturers of an item, I can actually get into quick views of products before I click into the page and see information around the product. But also kind of more on the B2B side for Cooks Direct, we do offer a account approval setup. So this is actually an account that manages all of Aramark's purchasing online. Aramark has different sales reps and customer service agents who log into the site on their own account. And as a supervisor or kind of master role, I'm actually able to review those transactions that are submitted for all of Aramark's orders online. And I can go into individual orders and I can approve orders or deny orders to release those orders to be processed to BC. Instead of having to do a complex CXML or EDI approval process, we've actually provided their end users with an ability as a supervisor to approve orders or deny order activity online. And kind of going into another level of personalization here, we work with a site called Terry Bear. Terry Bear is a company based out of Minneapolis that also runs BC. This is strictly a B2B storefront. They have many users that work in the funeral care industry. So they primarily produce customized urns that have been designed either for a pet or for a loved one who's passed away. And what their site provides in terms of personalization is as I go into products, depending on the type of product I'm personalizing, we actually allow the user to enter text and artwork against an item, select fonts, and inject different little images. And Nomad will, through an integration with a partner of ours, generate an actual image preview of what that urn could look like. What's important for them on this is that previously, to order a urn online, you would just be ordering an urn that has not been customized yet. That can be rather difficult when you're in a funeral home environment or you're actually trying to prepare a customized funeral product. Nomad allows their end users on the B2B side to actually sit down with a loved one in an office and show them a preview of what that urn will look like before they order it. So it allows those funeral homes to start to move away from having catalogs and having to handwrite things on top of images to actually providing the end user a digital reference point for what will actually be delivered to them. That's it for me. Back to you, Dennis.
Okay. So that is what we wanted to discuss today about personalization. As you saw from what Michael demonstrated, there are different levels of what you can get to depending on, including this last example that he's shown here, that actually really makes that connection to the buyer, right? And gets them to visualize the product that they're particularly looking for in this case. And then the other ones, it was more of making it personal from the standpoint of an introduction and what I'm doing in the type of information, versus on the second one where it was making the process much easier and personal to their company, right? So there's all different levels that you can get into depending on, what's important to you and what's important more importantly to your customer's experience. So that is what we have for today. Angie, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, how long would it take to get Nomad up and running?
Typically, it is typically it's a 12 to 16 week process. That's on average that we that usually takes to get somebody who to get a new website up and running. Now you have the dependencies on, are they implementing the ERP, they not implementing the ERP, they upgrading from one, all these things we have here, we actually implemented on Nav and then upgraded to BC as well. So it depends on where they're in their stage, but a good 12 to 16 week is a good time frame from a process perspective.
Okay, thank you. And how do you price your solution?
Our solution gets priced on, we basically look at the number of sales orders that we process through Nomad eCommerce. So we have pricing tiers set up for the number of sales orders, and then it kind of ramps up from there. So there's two costs to think about. There's the subscription cost, the annual cost based on the transactions, and then in that first year, there's the implementation cost as well.
Okay. And besides Dynamics, what other solution types would you integrate to?
So we go across the Dynamics brand. So that would be the 365s and Nav and AX and GP. But then there's other solutions that come into play as well. So as we had mentioned that in the solution stack, we looked at it more from the personalization side, but you want to think of other things that are important when you're creating a shopping cart on your website, right? So you think about tax solutions, you want to think about credit card processing, right? So there's processors that we have to deal with. Shipping is another one. Those three are the biggest ones. There's other things like live chat we talked about. There could be marketing automation things, the whole personalization stack that we have out there. And then there's some other ERPs in the mid-market space that we integrate with also. But those are typical. That's usually what we see when it comes to rolling out Nomad eCommerce.
Thank you. And do you support multiple credit card payment gateways or just yours?
Yeah, so we have a gateway that comes with Nomad if you choose to do that. But if you have a current gateway, we typically, there's like 11 or 12 of them that we support out of the box, and we haven't run across, like PayPal or Amazon Pay. And typically we can support other credit card payment gateways as well.
Alrighty, thank you. And if I have multiple price lists based on the customer type, can your solution support this?
It can, and actually one of the benefits of Nomad in the integration is our ability to identify price lists by customer, by discount level, by product type. It's a particular strength we have with our solution, and it's very extremely common in the world of B2B, which is really our big focus. of the complicated pricing and discounting. So if you have issues or you have to have a lot of manual effort when it comes to processing orders that where you have what you believe is a difficult pricing model, I think that's something that we can absolutely help you with to introduce more automation to your process.
Okay, thank you. And we have multiple warehouses, and they need to, or we need to let our customers decide where to buy and ship from. So can Nomad support that?
We can actually. So we have the ability. We actually have a BC customer that has, I forgot, it's like probably like 7 different warehouses where they want the ability to show their prospects, their customers, the inventory levels in each, let them choose where they want to get it and have it shipped from. So we give that ability to customers. We can show all the warehouses. We could show the exact amounts. We could show a percentage of amounts depending on what you prefer, and then let the customers decide. And then we can push through the order in and have it in just one order as opposed to multiple.
All right, thank you. And a couple more. You mentioned it was a cloud offering. Where is that hosted?
Our solution is hosted in a data center in the Midwest in Kansas City. We also have a fully redundant backup in Valley Forge, PA. So yes, so it is a full cloud offering.
Okay. And can your solution run on-prem?
You can run the ERP on-prem, but our solution runs strictly in the cloud. So I would say if you're running it on-prem, your ERP on-prem, it'd be more of a hybrid approach versus running BC, which would be much more of a fully cloud offering.
All right, thank you. And last question. How many Dynamics customers do you currently have?
At this point now, we have just a little over 50 Dynamics customers.
Not bad. All right, well, I believe those are all the questions that we have for you today. If anybody has any additional questions, please feel free to contact us. Dennis, do you have your information that you could pop up as well?
I do not.
Okay.
But, I think probably the best thing you could do is go to nomad.site, S-I-T-E. And you could also reach out to your Innovia customer rep or sales rep, and they can get you some preliminary information and get you in touch with me as well.
Okay, not a problem. All right, well, I believe that's a wrap. I want to thank everyone for attending, and Michael and Dennis, thank you for the presentation today.
Thank you.
And also, don't forget to check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. We also have our training workshop page at innovia.com/workshops. We have a variety of workshops to fit your role, so check out the ones that are right for you and your team. And if you have not heard the latest Innovia Conversation podcast, we have a library of podcast episodes for you to listen to, and you can learn more about those on our podcast page at innovia.com/podcast. So browse our selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when those new episodes air. And don't forget to check out our conference page, innovia.com/conferences. We will be attending Dynamics Con Live in San Antonio, Texas in September. So make sure you read up on all the details and register. We do have a discount code on our site. All right, well, we thank you again for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you soon on another Innovia webinar. Thanks again, Dennis and Michael.
Thank you, Angie.
Take care.